guys, and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another book video. If you are new here, my name is Lucie and I'm a parenting and lifestyle YouTuber, Instagrammer, blogger. Can I really call myself a blogger anymore? I'm not sure, but that's what I am. I would love to have you here and join in the fun. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit subscribe and get notified about any new videos that I make. I'm really sorry if I get breathless during this video. I am almost 25 weeks pregnant and I'm just finding myself more and more out of breath. I also talk really fast, which doesn't help, so yeah, forgive me if I'm a little bit like by the end of every sentence. So you may or may not know that I love to read. My favourite genre of books is thrillers, but actually I'm going to recommend something that isn't a thriller today, and I feel really proud of myself. I've been reading thrillers for years and years, but I do like to break it up with the odd, what do we call it, like a chick book, like a rom-com type book, and I found a really good one, and I've got a few other thriller type books to share with you as well. Now, I read everything on my Kindle. This is a Kindle Paperwhite. It's not particularly new, so there's probably a newer version out, but this one does the job. It's great for on holiday because the screen like changes brightness for you so that you can read it properly in the sun. It's also really good for reading at night time because my husband goes to sleep before me and I will read myself to sleep and the light isn't too bright, so it doesn't like illuminate the room or anything. So I would really recommend one of these. They're actually quite inexpensive, and I find that Kindle books are so much cheaper than actual physical books and they take up a lot less space. Plus it means that I can take this away with me and I've got all of the books that I want to read in one place. So the very first book that I wanted to recommend to you is the Flatshare by Beth O'Leary. I feel like a lot of you will have probably either read this already or it will be on your waiting list ready to read. Now if it's on your waiting list, I really encourage you to read it. I have read a few people's opinions that haven't liked it, saying that they found it a little bit far-fetched or they found it a bit cliche. Yes, it is slightly, but it's one of those books which I think we all really need right now, a little bit of escapism, especially during lockdown and during times when you're maybe feeling a bit more stressed or anxious than normal. I feel like a little bit of escapism like this is just the ticket, and it's not too far-fetched in the fact that it's not possible to happen. So as always, I'm going to read what the back page says about the book, so what I like to call the blurb. I don't like to over talk about the books because I get really worried that I'm going to give things away, so this video is purely just a recommendations video and kind of a few of my thoughts on what I thought of the book. So the back page says, Tiffy and Leon share a flat. Tiffy and Leon share a bed, but Tiffy and Leon have never met. Tiffy Moore needs a cheap flat and fast. Leon Twomey works nights and needs cash. Their friends think they're crazy, but it's the perfect solution. Leon occupies the one-bed flat while Tiffy's at work in the day, and she has the run of the place the rest of the time. But with obsessive ex-boyfriends, demanding clients at work, wrongly imprisoned brothers, and of course the fact they still haven't met yet, they're about to discover that if you want the perfect home, you need to throw the rule book out of the window. I was really intrigued when I read the back page. So basically, he owns this flat, she needs to rent a room but doesn't have any money, and he is renting out basically a side of the bed. So whenever he's at work during the night, she's asleep in the bed, and then when she goes to work during the day, he's asleep in the bed. I was just like, what the hell? Does that actually happen? So when people say that perhaps this book is a bit far-fetched, they may be talking about that concept, but I feel like it's not a bad idea. Like if you work night shifts, you need a bit of extra cash, why not let someone rent your bed out during the night? I mean, you know, you could be opening up your world to like psychopaths or something, but yeah, I thought it was an interesting concept and I really liked the book. Again, I found it really easy to read, really light-hearted, and just a really good rom-com, to be honest. I did try and start Beth O'Leary's next book that came out after that. I can't even remember what it was called, but to be honest, I found it a bit disappointing, so I would give that one a miss. But if you have got the Flatshare on your wish list or you're yet to download it, get yourself on it. Now back onto my favourite genre of books. Sorry for going so off-piste there. I know so many of you love thrillers too. But the next book I wanted to recommend to you was a book called Found by Erin Kinsley. Now I've never read an Erin Kinsley book before and I'm definitely interested. I think I will download more of their books. It does say, it kind of annoys me sometimes when you go to download or go to buy a book on Amazon, because you often get the title like this. You probably can't even see it, let me read it to you. You'll get the title that will say the most gripping emotional thriller of the year, and that actually kind of puts me off rather than sells it to me, because actually a lot of the time I've read books with that in the title and they've definitely not been the most gripping book I've ever read, so I don't really know why they do that. But hey ho, this one does have it in the title, and I must say it was really gripping. It was very emotional, but it wasn't the most gripping emotional book I've ever read. I just found it quite thought-provoking. I thought that also when I read it, it would be really good to make a program out of, or a series, or maybe a film. And I really like books like that. It wasn't too over dramatized. The only thing I found was that the end kind of rushed a little bit, which I hate in a book. So as always, I'm going to read the back page. A missing child returns, but who took him? When 11-year-old Evan vanishes without a trace, his parents are plunged into their worst nightmare, especially as the police, under massive pressure, have no answers. But months later, Evan is unexpectedly found, frightened and refusing to speak. His loving family realise he will never be the same again. D.I. Naylor knows that unless those who took Evan are caught, other children are still in danger, and with Evan silent, she must race against time to find those responsible. It wasn't what I expected. Like, when I read a back page like that, I'm hooked immediately. Like, it might sound awful, but I'm really obsessed with like people's like missing stories, or you know, a thriller where you're trying to find a murderer or a kidnapper or something like that. It's just what I'm into. And this one wasn't like that. It wasn't what I expected. It wasn't like this, all about this witch hunt. It was actually more about the boy himself and the way he was after he was found. But I really liked that. I feel like I've never really thought of some of the things that maybe a child would think of or go through or be like after they come out of an experience like that. So yeah, I just found it quite insightful, and like I said, I found it quite thought-provoking and just a bit unexpected, but I really liked it. Now the next book is by Anna Lou Weatherley, and it's called The Stranger's Wife, and I have read another of Anna Lou Weatherley's books before, and I really like the way she writes, and I really enjoy the stories. I think this is quite an easy read, and it's one that I kind of finished really quickly, especially at the moment, because I feel like we're all finding a little bit more time to do things like reading, watching Netflix, things like that, and I am definitely reading that little bit more. Now I would say about this book, I really loved it, but again I did find it slightly far-fetched, but to be honest I really liked it anyway. And again, it kind of went in a direction which I didn't really think it was gonna go in. I didn't really predict the ending, I didn't really predict what was gonna happen, which I really liked. So let's read the back page. Beth and Kath are leaving their husbands. This is a story about two very different women. One is wealthy and having an affair with a man who gives her the kind of love that her cold, detached husband doesn't. One is living hand to mouth, suffering at the hands of a violent partner who would rather see her dead than leave him. You may think you know these women already and how their lives unfold. Beth will live happily ever after, and Kath will go back to her abusive husband. And these two women will never cross paths, but you would be wrong. On the 3:15 train from London to Bristol, Beth and Kath are about to meet and discover they share one shocking thing in common. So there were actually a few really hard to read pages in this book, and again, quite thought-provoking. There's quite a lot of talk of abuse, so physical abuse and mental abuse, from like a man to a woman, and yeah, it's actually really shocking to read. It was very graphic, just not what I expected actually, but I liked reading it. I felt like it was quite real, those moments and so kind of detached from my own life that you kind of were sat there, well, I found myself kind of sitting there, taking my eyes off the page and just kind of having a moment thinking, wow, this stuff actually does happen to people. And I really like that in a book. I like it when it makes me kind of sit and think, like, wow, that this actually happens. And the very last book that I wanted to recommend, it's actually my favourite of the bunch. I've saved the best till last, and it's the book that I've recently finished literally last night, and I just couldn't put it down, and it's called Blood Orange, and it's by, totally forgotten who the author is, it's by Harriet Tyce. So I've never read anything of hers before, but I definitely want to now. I just found this book really gripping, really easy to read, and I just really liked where it went. I feel like it was really constant. Right at the very beginning I was a bit like, hang on, like, is this a bit slow? Like, is this a bit predictable? But actually I didn't find it like that at all. So let's read the back page and I'll tell you a little bit more about my thoughts. Alison has it all, a doting husband, adorable daughter and a career on the rise. She's just been given her first murder case to defend, but all is never as it seems. Just one more night and then it will end. Alison drinks too much, she's neglecting her family, and she's having an affair with a colleague who tastes for pushing boundaries maybe more than she can handle. I did it, I killed him, I should be locked up. Alison's client doesn't deny that she stabbed her husband. She wants to plead guilty, and yet something about her story is amiss. Saving this woman may be the first step to Alison saving herself. I'm watching you, I know what you're doing. But someone knows Alison's secrets, someone who wants to make her pay for what she's done and who won't stop until she's lost everything. I feel like that is one hell of a back page. Like, there's so many different things going on in there. Like, what is her secret that someone wants to expose? Who is this client and why did she murder her husband? And why is Alison an alcoholic and drinking too much? Like, what happens there? There's also quite a lot of talk of like mental abuse in there, and it's really crazy and easy to see how women end up getting themselves in like a mentally abused situation. So again, I feel like all of these books, apart from the rom-com that I've mentioned in this video, have all been quite thought-provoking and all kind of been really relevant to today and had really, like, I don't know, just kind of issues that I've not ever been affected by that I should really think about a bit more, talked about in them. So yeah, I'd really recommend Blood Orange. I'm not going to say anything more about the book, but I think you guys would really like it. So those were all the books I wanted to recommend to you today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I get so many messages requesting book videos, or you guys message me on Instagram and ask me what I'm reading at the moment. I am now out of books to read, so I really need some recommendations. So please pop below anything that you're reading at the moment, whatever genre you're into. I would love to hear about it so that I can add it to my list, or let me know what you've read lately that you've loved, or even let me know what you haven't loved, because that's always interesting. What one person likes another person does, and hang on, that didn't make sense. What one person likes another person doesn't, and vice versa. But yes, I'm going to stop talking now and go and catch a breath, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!